Beware the sides of March. The visit of the champions to West Brom heralds a grisly fixture list this month that'll sorely test the Baggies' ability to stay up. To make matters worse, Nigel Quasi is banned. Inamoto returns with Kojic coming in as an extra midfielder as Brian Robson tries to match Chelsea's shape. They haven't beaten today's opponents in the league in 27 years. Even with Barcelona on Tuesday, it's still a strong Chelsea lineup. Lampard is unfit, Joe Cole rested to the bench, and Crespo and Del Horno not included, but Gallas is back from his hamstring injury, and Makelele, Johnson and Duff will return. It's Jose Mourinho's 100th game in charge. These days, Chelsea have £78 million of striking talent in the squad, but the best 15 quid the club ever spent was signing Peter Osgood, who died too young this week. The Hawthorns remembers Ozzy, and 17-year-old West Brom employee Scott Poll tragically killed last Sunday. Chelsea heroes of today remember the greatest legend in the club's history. West Bromwich Albion fans remember a lifelong Baggies supporter. Both men cut down too early. Woolworth had a fine game against Middlesbrough last week, and defensive errors cost West Bromwich Albion badly. They now have a free kick for Terry's challenge on Greening. Here's Kamara with the free kick. Kosic's in the middle. Clement there as well with Kevin Campbell, Inamoto. Dennis Davis around the back. And that's a header by Campbell. Well, he hasn't got many this season, Kevin Campbell. Just the 3 goals. But 2 of them have come in his last 3 games. And he was found in too much space there. Good chance for West Brom. Kojic to Clement, the former Chelsea youth teammate of John Terry. Woolworth driving on. Mara's there in support, really making a progressive run. But he finds Shinichi Inamoto and Robinson on the overlap. Robin was ball watching. Danger here for Chelsea, away by Terry. Mysterious touch by Johnson. Very curious. There's Greening to take on Makelele. And Cech couldn't hold it. And it's a dangerous one, and over the bar by Kojic. Yeah, and Kojic over the bar as Cech failed to gather the initial cross under pressure. They've got to be speedier about their approach work, West Brom. Here's Albrechtsen. Greening towards Campbell, that's better. Holds it up to Kojic, and a typical Terry block. Robin left the ball behind, tries to find Essin in the end, and West Bromwich Albion have it. And here's Kamara with Campbell in the middle. Still Kamara. Ooh, wide, and that's the closest West Bromwich Albion have come since the opening moments. Kamara got the wrong side of Paulo Ferreira. Cech back into the middle, and the shot was dragged wide, but I'll tell you what, there wasn't much in it. And just a few days ahead of that massive trip to Barcelona, he's not a happy man. Terry. With Johnson. Ooh, and he was caught there. That was a poor challenge on Makelele. And Terry went quickly in. So look at the Chelsea players here surrounding and pressurising Mark Halsey. It was a poor challenge, there's no doubt about that. Woolworth caught Makelele, and Chelsea are not the only club to pressurise referees in this way. It was a bad tackle. It's a yellow card. Bromwich Albion have been waiting and raring to go for several moments now. And at long last, Chelsea have 11 players available to start the second half. And it has not gone down well with the West Brom camp nor their supporters. Davis was there on by Woolworth. Minamoto. Scrappy passage of play there. Here's Drogba turning away. Still to the Drogba. Oh, that's a lovely goal. Carved out the opportunity himself and took it superbly. It's his first goal for the club since returning from the African Cup of Nations. 15 minutes gone, and West Bromwich Albion are behind at home. Drogba turning into space, found more space, and low beyond the West Bromwich Albion goalkeeper. Kuszczak won't be happy that it beat him that close to the post. Hood. Looking for Drogba. He's got him behind Davis. Oh, what a good effort. Very little backlift. Flashed in the shot. Pushed away by Kuszczak. Greening, looking for Robinson, who's had a sound game again at left back. Greening kept it in, testing cross. Miles round the back, goes for it. Oh, Campbell was in there and checked, just put a hand to it. Deflected as well off Essien. And then away by Hoop in the end. Keeper didn't get a touch. Double deflection. Chelsea doubling up on him. And Greening very nearly did superbly. And Makelele couldn't keep it in. And West Brom get their just desserts there. It was good play by Greening. An hour play. Robin wins it back for Chelsea. He's given it away again. Oh, that's a silly, silly challenge. He's caught Greening there. Robinson is daft to get involved. And just like Chelsea in the first half, West Bromwich Albion players are pressurising the referee, and that is unacceptable, as unacceptable as the challenge was. It was a rash and dangerous tackle. Robin had 2 feet off the ground and is sent off. Fume at the decision, but Mark Horsey said 2 feet were off the ground in the challenge. Well, that is ironic applause, I would suggest, towards the referee. Do we really need to see a referee being surrounded by players when he has to make a crucial decision? I don't know if the applause was in the direction of the referee, ironic applause for the decision, or in the direction of Jonathan Greening. Did he think that Greening had made a meal of the tackle? It was certainly a poor challenge. In towards Campbell, who's gone down, and nothing given. And I think the referee got it right. I think Campbell ran into the Chelsea player. Here's Cole. Essien, well played. Cole. It took a slight deflection, did it? No. Over from Cole. Good drag back. Typical skills from Cole. It wasn't far away. Now Drogba. Drogba, was he caught late? The referee says no, play on. The Chelsea bench animated. There's a clash between Jose Mourinho and Brian Robson. And the police had to move in on the Chelsea bench there, and stewards too. Jose Mourinho here saying something to the assistant referee. Drogba plays it here away, and it went down very theatrically. Here's Greening. Holding off the challenge of Jeremy. Now Drogba. Chance for Joe Cole to wrap the game up. Back to Drogba. And back came Clement. Still Drogba. Joe Cole. And Chelsea have a second. And Chelsea have the points. I thought the chance had gone there. One pass too many. Clement got back miraculously. The shot initially was charged down, and Cole zipped it beyond Kuszczak. And that goal meant so much to him. He's had an unhappy and unpleasant afternoon so far. How much did it mean? Albrechtsen. Kamara. Oh, not a bad effort from Kanu. Once scored a hat-trick for Arsenal, famously at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. His side needs a miracle. Forward, Robinson. Kanu in the middle, and Watson there as well. Here's Robinson. To the near post, Kanu is there, and that's a good goal for West Brom. Lovely delivery in from Robinson. And Kanu has set up an interesting finish. 87 minutes gone. And Kanu steered it in. What a lovely cross, though, from Robinson. So in the second half, this has been after such a drab first period. Greening finds Kamara. Davis on the overlap again. In it comes. Watson miskicks it. Second chance. Great block by Huth. Kamara goes down. Dives. And then Huth comes across. Well, if he doesn't give the penalty, surely he should produce a card. Went down far too easily and handled it. The free kick given. But surely there should have been a yellow card for the dive. And there was no question that he threw himself down. One by Clement. Forward. And Jose Mourinho pumps his fist at another Chelsea victory. Their first in 4 away from home. It was a tense, fraught second half with controversy and 2 Chelsea goals. Brian Robson's West Bromwich Albion behind to Drogba and substitute Joe Cole before Kanu pulled them back into the game. Joe Cole, a man at the centre of another Chelsea victory. It was a fraught and tense second half on the touchline as well. It started after the half-time interval. What went on?
No, well, they started, the bell went ages ago. Our lads are out on the pitch, and then for whatever reason, Chelsea were very late coming out. I have no qualms with that. I mean, whether that's teamsmanship or whatever you want to call it.
We had a long team talk. I think Willie's always the last out anyway, so we was waiting for him. But, you know, just got a little bit of a telling off at half-time and a kick up the backside, which is exactly what we needed.
Only complaint I've got, I think I've seen it on the replay, and I think it's a definite pen on Kevin Campbell, which could have got us back into the game. I don't think we deserve to get beaten in the game, but we have a game.
You did seem irate, though, with one or two things when Drogba went down on the halfway line under Greening's challenge, and words were exchanged between the two managers.
No, well, Jonathan Green didn't touch him. Drogba does that a lot, and I think all he was trying to do, I think maybe the same enough against Robin was a bit harsh. You know, but Drogba was trying to get our play sent off. There's no doubt about that.
Well, a number of accusations. It was a game full of dives, bad tackles, play acting, haranguing of referees, managerial.
It was better than football.
It was more interesting. Well, we might as well start with the Drogba thing.
What do you think? Do you think he gets caught? Do you think he kicks out and catches the player? He's on the ball, he comes in here. I think he makes a meal of whatever it is. There's no doubt about that.
Looks like catches him on his collar after kicking it. There's no foul, wasn't it?
But then the way he's gone over there, I mean,
pity we didn't have the
totally
sound.
exaggerated.
There was a scream.
Totally.
There was a scream on the end of that as well, which was quite good.
There are a couple of bad tackles in the game. One got a yellow card, one got a red card. What did you
Well, there were
think of
bad
those?
tackles. I thought the two tackles were very similar.
Ronnie Walworth.
It's Ronnie Walworth and Makaleli. He's high, he's late, it's dangerous. In fact, Makaleli does ever so well to get the way it. So that's what he's really good at, getting out of the way of that. And then Robin, is this any worse? It's 2 feet, it's scissors, whatever you want to call it. You can't really see it from there. This is a better angle. It is dangerous.
That's a poor tackle.
It's a bad tackle. It's a forwards tackle. It's vindictive, but I wouldn't say it's any worse than more. And this is a bad side. I thought that this was supposed to be finished 2 or 3 years ago, where the referees got a directive to say that the minute...
beginning of this season it was.
Right,
the
was
directive that referees, for this sort of thing, should be sending players off. But it's not happening, is it?
It's the only way they can stop it. It's the only way the referees can stop it.
In all honesty, considering what went on in that game, I thought the referee did really well. Because he was, whenever there was an incident, he was straight in there trying to sort out. And the game's getting almost impossible to referee.
But you've got 2 occasions where the players are run after the referees, trying to influence them, trying to get players sent off. All he's got to do is brandish yellow and then red, and they will stop it right away.
There surely has to be some responsibility, though, going towards managers. And if you've got 2 managers that are having a pop at each other, what chance have you got instilling discipline into your players?
Bad tackles, bad language. We don't know what's going on there. Obviously, Brian Robson thinks that they're coming out late to wind him up, and that would tell its own story.
Yeah.
And here's a man, Brian Robson, that we all know that doesn't get riled easily. And he's obviously really, really upset there. And then this is the reaction to the Drogba tackle, and that's no good for anyone. That's absolutely terrible. And, well, is he trying to wind Robson up again? Maybe it's just a natural celebration. It probably is. But at the end of the match, really, even Ferguson and Wenger, at the height of their troubles, would always shake hands. You've got to go and shake hands with another manager. And I think he did that at Blackburn last year with Mark Hughes as well.
I just think it's good manners, you shake hands. Whatever went on has gone on. You shake hands and then you go on and you can congratulate your players, etc. And it's a good win for Chelsea, obviously, and important 3 points. But there's a way of behaving, I do feel.
The Chelsea manager first infuriating the Albion boss when the visitors were laid out for the second half. Well, the managers later clashed when Didier Drogba went down after a challenge from Jonathan Greening. Robson accused Drogba of diving and trying to get Greening sent off.
They stood to remember the king of Stamford Bridge. And when the match kicked off, how the champions could have done with some of Osgood's swagger. Campbell with the first opening for West Brom. Next, it was Kamara's turn to threaten as the home side took the fight to their subdued opponents. A lively challenge by Woolwork eventually animated some of Chelsea's players. 0-0 at the break. The restart was delayed by Chelsea's late reappearance from the tunnel. Brian Robson was clearly upset by it all. Mourinho appeared utterly unconcerned, but it set the tone for a fractious second half. And if it had all been gamesmanship, it certainly worked. Chelsea took the lead through Didier Drogba, 1-0. Next, a lunge by Robin earned him a red card. Mourinho's sarcastic applause showed what he thought of that decision. Then it really kicked off. Drogba and Greening seemed to collide in midfield. Down went the Chelsea man. Robson claimed he was play-acting. Mourinho begged to differ. But when order was restored on the touchline, again it was Chelsea who seized the initiative. Drogba was involved in the build-up, and Joe Cole finished it off. West Brom's reply came late in the game, too late to matter. Kanu on target, 2-1 the final score.
Drogba, he just dives about all the time, when Jonathan Green never touched him. But he does that all the time. And that's it. Marino's got his sort of opinion of it. I've got my opinion of it. And like, you know, for me, he does dive, and he feigns injuries.
He came out late second half. That seemed to antagonise West Brom. What were the reasons for that?
Yeah, no, a couple of us. We had a long team talk. I think Willie's always the last out anyway, so we was waiting for him. But, you know, just got a little bit of a telling off at half-time and a kick up the backside, which is exactly what we needed.
So a bad-tempered game, no handshake between the managers at the end. We may not have heard the last of this one. Jim Cockin, Sky Sports.
Not surprisingly, Chelsea dominate the back pages this morning in the Daily Mail's Steve Curry joined us in the studio a little earlier to review the papers.
There's one picture that seems to capture it all this morning on the front page of the Telegraph, where it says, "Ton up trouble." This is a reference to the fact that this was Jose Mourinho's 100th game. But I don't think Brian Robson's saying congratulations to him there. I think he's saying something a bit more insulting. And, you know, we've had last week Steve Finnan being accused of abuse through lip reading. I didn't think you needed to be a lip reader to find out what Brian Robson was saying to Mourinho yesterday. And it is interesting that there seems to be a groundswell now of hatred for Chelsea, which initially started off because of their immense wealth and Abramovich's wealth, but now is more to do with the antics of one or two of their players. And Paul McCarthy, who's no stranger to this seat, I know, starts his match report here by saying, "No class, no style. Is it any wonder Chelsea are losing friends more quickly than they pick up points?" There's a big article here in the Sunday Times, an interview with Peter Kenyon, in which, to be perfectly frank, he doesn't say a great deal, because the issues that David Walsh wants to talk to him about, he doesn't really answer. He does say about Mourinho, when you meet Jose, found out what he wanted, you just knew he was the man. But I would remind Mr. Kenyon that Jose was not his first choice. His first choice was the England manager, who he met surreptitiously in the West End, only to be caught by a cameraman who happened to be hanging around, you know, as he got found out talking to Ashley Cole. And I don't think the way that Chelsea are conducting their business, to be perfectly honest, is ethical. But it doesn't detract from the fact that the team is very good, and he is obviously an excellent coach.
So, what do you make of the incident at the Hawthorns yesterday? I know this is one that's certainly got Rob going this morning in no small way. You can email us at skyssports.com or text us on 84408. Please include your name and keep them as short as you can. You've had an email in already, Rob.
Yep, Angry from Teddington writes, "Why is Robson being so one-eyed, calling Drogba a cheat? Kamara's dive in the penalty box was far worse. He tried to get a player sent off and win a penalty for his home side. As for Robin's sending off, tell me, was Woolwork's two-footed challenge in the first half much less? That only warranted a yellow card. Robin was given a straight red card. It smacks to me," says Angry from Teddington, "of one-eyed journalism and bias against Chelsea."
That's fairly strong stuff. This strong stuff, too, from Terry. He's clearly not a Chelsea fan. His answer to the question being posed in some of the tabloids today as to why Chelsea are starting to be loathed by so many people. He says, "My answer is simple. Jose Mourinho is arrogance personified, and Mr. Drogba should be in Hollywood for tonight's Oscars ceremony." This is clearly going to get a lot of people going, Rob.
Certainly is. There's Robin's sending off. Ho-hum, plenty to talk about. An eventful game, at least. My 4-year-old son could work out the words that Brian Robson was shouting.
Should we leave it at that?
I think so.
You do us, skyssports.com. 84408, please include your name, and we'll try and read out as many as possible.